All right. All right, everybody. We are live. Good morning. Good morning. Well, no, I'm sorry. It's afternoon now. I'm Chaz. My channel is Bookish Chaz, and this is episode 10 of Chaz and Friends. I am joined by the ever so wonderful Alyssa from Into the Heart Wild, and very excited to have her. We've been trying to set this up for a while, and we finally settled on a date. Um, I have to tell everybody watching the stream, I am supremely shocked that Alyssa has not hit 100 subscribers yet. So something's got to change there because she deserves every subscriber she gets and more. So if you have not checked out her channel, make sure and do so. There's a link in the description below, as well as to all of her other socials where you can reach her. So I'm going to turn it over to Alyssa here for a minute to tell us a bit about her and her channel, and then you know the drill. We just kind of talk about whatever's cool and nerdy on our minds. So there we go.
Okay. Okay. Hello, everybody. I am Alyssa from Into the Heart Wild. First, I want to say thank you for that lovely little shout out about not reaching 100 followers. That was very sweet. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
um, so I mainly read fantasy. I consider myself a baby sci-fi reader because it's still I haven't read a lot in it. It's still a little intimidating to me, but I'm a baby sci-fi reader. And then I do also like to read middle grade when I just kind of want to enjoy something nice and fun. So that's probably like the biggest gist. I know my channel's still new, still trying to figure out the flow of it and figure out how I'm gonna, what days I'm posting and everything, but I'm trying.
Hmm.
So
Well,
that's the gist.
you're doing a fantastic job, and I like how you said baby sci-fi reader. I'm kind of I wouldn't say I'm a noob with sci-fi, but I don't read as much sci-fi as I do fantasy, so I'm probably kind of a baby sci-fi reader too. So
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
I
getting
think
better.
I think it's a good term because like I don't want to just like be out there and be like I read sci-fi and people are like, well, what are your favorites? And I'm like, I've read like three.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like I've read more than three, but it's like, oh, I haven't really read a lot. You
Yeah,
know.
I hear you
So
there.
yeah, so it's like, and I
Hydra's
think it.
here. Welcome.
Hello,
And
and like
Jonathan, hello.
hello, and I do feel like with like telling people that like I'm a baby sci-fi reader, like if I
Uh-huh.
was to like recommend sci-fi books, it would be like a bit more, I don't want to say like, I guess believable is the right word because it's like, oh, she's new to this, she kind of struggles with it, but she was able to enjoy this, so maybe it's not as bad. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? So I'm like, if I tell people I'm a baby sci-fi reader, it's easier.
Exactly. Yep, I like it. You
Yeah.
just got another subscriber there.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, so what are some of the sci-fi books that you've read? I know I've seen a couple on your channel, but I think it's been a while. So what are I guess what are some of your favorites? We'll say that.
So one of my absolute favorites is the Murderbot series by Martha
Oh yeah.
Wells. I love it. I actually got my best friend into it. She
Mm.
loves Murderbot. She's not a big reader, but I got her to read that one, and so she's like, "Yeah, this is great," and I'm like, "I know."
I've only read the first two books, but I
Oh,
really really like it. I need to read more.
yeah, I've read everything that's currently out.
Nice.
Yeah. So, and then there's the self-published series by T.A. Bruno, the Song of Kamaria, the trilogy. I just finished reading the final one for that. Oh, I love it
Okay.
so much.
I've heard of T.A. Bruno. I don't know what's the first book in that series.
In the Orbit of Sirens.
Oh, okay. I've heard of the book. I've not read it,
Yes.
but yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I love it. The world he created is amazing. I love the Aknai. Ah, they're so great. They're so great. They're giant talking anthropomorphic birds.
Mm.
So, and I'm like, I'm a big bird person, so I was like, yes. Amazing trilogy from start to finish because he just released the last one. Loved it. Um, there is also Becky Chambers. Um,
Yes.
I've read two of hers so far. Um, the A Psalm for the Wild Built. That one
Okay.
was beautiful. It was a beautiful book. And then the other one, which I'm blanking on the name of it. I do own it, but it's like all the way over there.
Is
But
it
I have
Long Way to a Slow Angry Planet?
no. It's the other. I'm like, can I see it from here? I can't.
it it's
I
okay.
can't.
Yeah, it's okay. No
Yeah.
worries.
Yeah, there's that one. And then there's like a few like other like little novellas that I've read that I've enjoyed. I've realized that like it is easier for me to get into sci-fi if I read the novellas because
Okay.
it's a nice shorter little chunk and it gets you like into the idea of how sci-fi is written with like the terminology because sometimes the terminology just throws me off and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, but sure.
Yeah. There's a few words like that. It's like, oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and then, oh, I'm Dark Matter. I think that one is considered like a thriller sci-fi,
Yeah.
but it was good. It was wild. It was good.
I keep that. That's coming up on my TBR. I've got to get to it this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got to get on that one.
Yeah. And I do think the hardest one that I read that I ended up not enjoying was Dune.
Okay.
That
Yeah.
is yeah, that is the biggest one and probably the hardest sci-fi one that I have read that I just ultimately it wasn't for me. And I was like,
Hmm.
I see why people like it. I see what they enjoyed about it, but for me I was just like feels like a lot of nothing but a lot of something at the same time. I don't like
Yeah.
that feel I don't like that feeling. So,
Dune is very mixed. Some people really
yeah.
love it, some people really don't like it, and then some people are just kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's my favorite sci-fi book of all time, but like
Yeah.
I get why people don't like it. So
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
it's one of my mom's favorites when she was younger. She used to read a lot when she was younger, and so when I told her I wanted it, she got all excited and she got me that really fancy special one with like the
Ooh,
green spade edges and the yeah, I
yeah.
have that one. So like I'm gonna keep the edition because it was a gift and but overall I was just kind of like, it's not for me. So
Yeah.
you know.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
Oh, we got Core Scorpio Gaming here. Glad to
Oh,
see you. Hello,
hi
hello. Sometimes sci-fi audiobooks are a little easier. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's
very
true.
true. They are.
Yeah, that's very true.
Dark Matter is awesome. Yes, indeed. I need to get to that one.
Yeah.
Some sci-fi books actually work the best on audio. I don't know if you've heard or read the Bobaverse books.
Mm-mm. I've never even
So,
heard of them.
oh, there's so much fun. So the first book is We Are Legion, We Are Bob, and
Okay.
it's basically about this guy who he lives in a time where they've just figured out how to preserve people cryogenically, and he's all of a sudden come into a lot of money, and he decides to buy a slot in the cryogenics program for himself for when he dies.
Okay.
And then Murphy's law, he gets hit by a car like a day later, and he's dead.
Wow.
And so the goal of the cryogenics program is to wake people up when they can fix them and stuff like that. But he wakes up, or we should say his mind wakes up. He wakes up and finds out he's in the body of a computer because the church got complete control of the world, and they banned the cryogenics program. So they were able to smuggle him out before they deleted everything, and they transferred his mind into a computer, and so now he's out in the he gets to go out and explore the far reaches of space as with all of his mind intact, but his body is basically a machine, and it gets implanted into a spaceship.
Oh,
And
interesting.
yeah, it's very absurdist. I mean, you get a lot of nerdy references, especially Star Trek references, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot of fun. It's very funny,
Yeah.
especially the first book. So
Hmm.
yeah, it
I'll, I'll have to look into it.
yeah.
It sounds interesting. I'll have to look into it. And I like a lot of the sci-fi stories that have like the robot aspect to them, like
Hmm.
Sea of Rust by C. Robert Cargill.
Oh, I've
Um,
heard of him. I haven't read that
yeah,
series though.
yeah, I loved it because you follow robots,
Hmm.
and it was interesting how he played on the idea of like robots starting to act like humans and like trying to oppress each other and overrun each other and
Hmm.
all of that and everything. And then he did the prequel, which was Day Zero, and you follow a nanny bot who's trying to rescue a human child.
Ah.
Yeah, and it's one of those ones because like when I saw other like earlier reviews for that one had come out, people were like, "Oh, it really wasn't that good because like what happens because Sea of Rust came out first, so like what happens to the adults, what happens to the humans." And I was kind of like, it's kind of like more bittersweet because like you watch
Hmm.
this robot go through this journey of trying to save a human, even though
Uh-huh.
you know what the outcome is going to be. You know eventually what happens on Earth. And
Right.
so for me, I was just kind of like, that's kind of really bittersweet, like because like you grow attached to like this amazing nanny bot, you know, because like he was so amazing, like, um, and just like I think it's not too much of a spoiler, but like there's like a certain protocol he has that's based off of a phrase that moms are called mama bears.
Okay.
And I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. I was like, yes, Mama Bear Protocol.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, I may have to check that out.
yeah,
Got to add some of these to my list.
yeah. I think they're fun.
It's like Kay's got one here, the Illuminate trilogy from. I've heard about that one. I've heard it's quite good. I haven't checked it out. She recommends it on audio.
Mm,
Nice.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I've seen that one around a lot too. I have tried Jay Kristoff's writing, and I think I think that might be it might be his earlier series that they're referring to, but I know he has another space series where I did the Aurora. I think it was like Aurora's Burning is the first one, and I
Hmm.
didn't really care
Okay.
for it. But I'm not too big on Jake Kristoff's writing, so I mean it's something that I can still like look into and everything. But like I have learned I'm not big on his writing.
Okay. I've heard that. I've heard very mixed things on him as well, especially
Yeah,
about the Nevernight trilogy. I've heard it's
yeah,
very hard to get used to his writing style. I'm
yeah.
very interested in Empire of the Vampire though.
Yeah, see,
So
I own that one.
yeah.
I've got like the little fancy Goldsboro one, and I'm like torn. I'm like torn if I want to read it or not, just because I haven't had like a good like foray into his work and everything. And also I'm not big on vampires.
Okay. That's okay. That's all
I'm
right.
not. I'm a werewolf. I like werewolves. I like stories that focus on
Okay.
werewolves.
I like
Like
werewolves too. Yeah, but I'm an equal opportunity fan. I like vampires and werewolves, and
ah.
like my one of my favorite movie series of all time is Underworld. I love all of
Ah.
those movies.
I think I've
Uh,
seen like one in pieces.
oh yeah, I love those movies. They're so good.
Yeah,
Kay really liked Aurora, or
it
was
was
okay on
okay. I
Aurora.
agree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just read that. Oh, the Empire of the Vampire. I'm guessing
Ah,
maybe. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's yeah. It's on my list. I love vampires. I'm pretty I'm pretty into them.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, like,
but
I'm not totally against reading a story with a vampire in it, but it is like, it definitely takes more to like draw me to a story with a vampire.
mhm.
Like you gotta really sell me on it. It's not often where I'm like, oh, vampire, let me put that in my basket. Like, I don't do that.
Well, maybe I need to read in Empire of the Vampire and then do a video where I'm specifically selling you on it.
Right? That's if you end up liking it.
Right. If I end up liking it, I'll tag you in the video and I'll be like, okay, this is for Alyssa.
Yeah. 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 There's just certain things that like it really does take a while to like really like sell them to me. They're one of the other book discords I'm in, for instance, Brandon Sanderson. I've never read
Oh,
anything.
okay. Yeah.
Well, technically I have read the graphic novel White Sand. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I didn't
Okay.
like it. That was like my first foray into like Brandon Sanderson's work before I even knew that he was like such a big like prolific author and everything because I wasn't really like in the community at that time.
Hmm.
Um, and everyone is always talking about, oh, you gotta read him, you gotta read him. But the thing that like I realized a lot of people don't do when they talk about him is they don't actually like tell you what his books are about. They
Hmm.
spend more time focusing on being like, oh, he's a great writer, he makes great magic systems, his prose is really easy, the characters are fun. And I'm like, okay, but what is the story? His
Right.
writing is great. And I'm like, I asked what the story was.
Yeah,
So like the
I get
discord
it.
that I was the discourse that Discord that I'm in, like I told them that I was like, you guys need to like, what is Mistborn about? Like
Hmm.
you have to tell me. Like you can't just tell me he's a good writer and expect me to be like, yep, I'm gonna pick that up because I there's a lot of good writers. Like I want to know about the stories, and I feel like that's something that the Sanderson fans forget to do when they try to get people into Sanderson because they just want to focus on how great of a writer he is. That I'm like,
Hmm.
you got to tell people about the stories though, because some of us get sold on stories and not so much on just like how good someone's prose is or their writing or
Yeah,
their character building. Like I want to know the plot.
right.
you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that is really important when doing videos, especially is to talk about all aspects of it because
Yeah.
he's a he is a must read author for me, but I don't think he should be for everyone.
Mhm.
To be
Yeah.
perfectly honest, and
Okay.
even with him, I don't know that I'll necessarily read anything that's outside the Cosmere, with the exception of a couple that I'm interested in. But yeah, he's the Cosmere is really where he shines, and
And
yeah,
which series is that? The Cosmere one.
so the Cosmere series, White Sand is part of it. So is
Okay.
Mistborn, Stormlight
Oh, okay.
Archive. It's all part of that
Oh,
connected
it's all
universe.
in it.
Yeah,
Okay.
and maybe that's why people have a hard time. Maybe they feel daunted about trying to tell you what the story is about because it's
Mhm.
about so much.
It's very
But
vast.
yeah, but every series is, can easily stand on its own. So
Mm.
yeah, and Mistborn is really good. It's not my favorite Sanderson series, but it's good. I
Okay.
enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I think Stormlight is my favorite of his.
Okay. Yeah, see, I have Mistborn because they did ultimately like tell me a lot of like good interesting points where I was like, that
Hmm.
sounds interesting. Like I want to see how that works like on paper. Like I want to see what he's done with it. Like they were able to sell me on the story. So I do have the first volume for Mistborn. I haven't gotten to it yet. But, I figure it's and they also told me that like it would probably be like the easiest one to like start with if you're not familiar with him.
It is. Yep,
Yeah.
I was gonna say that too. That's a really good jumping off point.
Yeah, yeah, that's what they were saying. So I was like, okay, and all of them were like big like hardcore Sanderson fans. And what was nice was like they didn't like get irritated with me because I was like, I need you guys to tell me more than just how great he is.
Right.
Because I had attempted before with some other Sanderson fans, and they just like, no, all you need to know is his writing is amazing, and I'm just like, no.
Yeah, tell me why, right?
Yeah, like
Scott gives a really good summary here, Alyssa, for Mistborn.
okay.
The Heist Tale, where a group of individuals attempts to overthrow an empire led by the Lord Ruler. Yep.
Yeah, see,
Great,
like that, like
great.
that's like quick to the point, and I'm like, all right, I got an idea. Interesting.
Yeah. And what was interesting about Mistborn, but about the first book, is it ends in a way that feels like a standalone. So,
Oh.
it's a good idea to read the other two books as well, but you
Mhm.
wouldn't necessarily have to. I
Oh,
mean, you
okay. So
you could
that's
finish
nice.
book one and you're like, oh, that was a very satisfying ending.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
but I did for the longest time I hadn't read the other two books. I read the first book several years ago, and then a couple of years ago I picked up the other two and read them.
Uh-huh.
But it was a very satisfying ending just for that one book alone.
Oh, well, that's good. That's
So
good to know.
yeah,
That
yeah,
was something that they had not told me.
yeah.
Right,
White
that
Sand is
is.
not representative of Sanderson or a good place to start. Yeah, I would agree. Now here's the thing though. He did just release a omnibus of White Sand on Indiegogo. He did a crowdfunding for it, and
Uh-huh.
it's supposedly been updated to make the connections to the Cosmere clearer and to feel more cohesive.
Hmm.
And of course, it's all in color too, which will be nice. Well, I guess the others are in color too, but it's got new illustrations and everything. So,
I was like, did he update the illustrations? Because I know when I initially picked them up, because I had found them randomly at the library, and that
mhm,
was, and like I said, was before who knew Sanderson was to begin with, and I was like, oh, this looks interesting.
yeah,
Um, and it was the art style that really drew me in because it had this really like sketchy, gritty kind of art style, and
mhm.
then like in the third volume, in the last chapter, all of a sudden it was like this clean cut, crisp, different kind of art style, and I was like,
Oh
what is happening here? And I noticed that was like a lot of things people had complained about. So like, did he say that like the art itself was updated, or is it like still
It
like the
sounds
same?
like the art itself was updated a
Hmm.
bit as well. Yeah,
Okay.
I went ahead and uh, partnered with the Indiegogo, and I didn't get
Okay.
the fanciest edition. There was a really nice slipcase edition with like
Yeah.
signed and numbered and all that stuff. I didn't do that. I got kind of the
Mm.
middle of the road. It's still a hardback,
Yeah.
but it's got more of a character focused cover. So
Oh,
I
okay.
like the art on the one I chose better. But
Oh, okay. I'll have
um,
to like swing over and look at it. I probably won't like, take part in the campaign or anything, but I'll at least like look at it and then
yeah,
see if it's the same art style I was already familiar with or if it's like a whole new one.
yeah,
So,
it's going to be available for purchase at bookstores. I think after the first of
okay.
the year.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so he's eventually getting it out in bookstores. But
Okay, which means libraries will end up picking it up and
yeah, hmm
I can just snatch it up there and see if it is any better.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And yeah, and so yeah, once I get my copy, I'm planning on doing an unboxing. I haven't really
Oh,
done any
cool.
unboxings on my channel, so I figured, well, hey,
Yeah.
I've got some things coming that may be worthy of unboxings.
Ooh,
So
yay. I like
I'll
watching
probably
unboxings.
do that. Oh yeah, I like
Yeah.
watching them. I've just never done one. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I know. I've wanted to do one as well, but like the minute like I get a new book in, I'm like, ah.
yeah, I get it. I'm the same way. I'm like, oh, what did I get now?
Yeah.
Uh, Reading Wolf Hunt by Jeff Strand. Oh, I haven't heard of that one.
Neither have I.
And Elantris from Sanderson was my first read of his. Yeah, Elantris. Let's see, did I read that? No, I read that after I'd read Mistborn. But Elantris was very good. It gets a lot of hate though. A
Yeah,
lot of
I've
people
seen
don't
that.
like Elantris, but I really liked it. It's not his best book, but I thought it was, dare I say, I liked it better than Mistborn.
Hmm.
So, um, and there are Easter eggs from some of these other books in the Stormlight archive as you get further into the series. So,
Yeah, yeah, that's what they
yeah.
were telling me in the Discord. They were like, you can find like Easter eggs all throughout as like
Mhm.
it progresses and goes further and further. And I like little things like that. I like when like someone has like this giant world and throughout it you can start to see little connections or callbacks to old events, or
Hmm.
even foreshadowing, like, oh, this was mentioned in this book and now it's happening in this book. I love
Hmm.
that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it's very exciting when you start making those connections, and you're like, oh,
yeah.
there it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, as much as I try not to like guess where a book is going, I love like seeing those little things and being like, oh, I know what's happening.
I know. Yeah, it's so exciting.
It makes you feel like you're in on it.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's I think there's sequels planned for Elantris and Warbreaker, but as of right
Mm.
now, they're both standalones, and I think both of those books work really good as standalones as well.
Yeah.
So, those would be maybe an alternative jumping off point for you. But Mistborn is a great place to start if you want to do it. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Um, Eventually, like I said, like I
yeah.
have it along with so many other books.
I have not started Mistborn Era 2 yet, only
Mm.
because I probably will read it, but I've been very on the fence because it's kind of a buddy cop Western setting, which is,
Yeah.
I'm not big on Westerns,
Mm.
uh, with the exception of Dark Tower. That felt totally different. But um, so I'll eventually read it, though. I just haven't.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
haven't jumped into that pool yet. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I have I think like two or three books that have like that Western vibe to them. I actually just
Mhm.
picked one up the other day. Um, it's right here. I'll show you because I've seen nobody talk about this, but apparently it's been out since May.
Oh, wow.
But it's called Cold as Hell. Uh,
Oh,
Rhett C. Bruno and Jamie Castle, and
okay.
like he's got like this Western look to him and everything. And so like I seen it and I was just like, I want that. And then I have this other one um, where the first book is like a Western vibe to it, but the second one is pirates.
Oh,
And I'm like,
interesting.
how do we go from there to there? you
Yeah.
know? And then the only other Westernish one would be I have the first three books in the Dark Tower.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I have no, I think I only have volume three, and I think I had the other two from the library.
Okay. Okay.
Because I was
Nice.
because I was buddy reading them with my best friend because she loves that series.
Hmm.
I'm struggling. I'm struggling.
Fair enough. Fair enough. It's that's another series that it may not be for everybody.
Yeah,
I loved parts of it and I didn't like parts of it, but I think I loved more than I didn't like, and overall
yeah,
it was a great series for me. But yeah,
yeah,
it's not for everybody. And that one book you held up, that it feels like a cowboy punk vibe. It
yeah.
doesn't feel like it doesn't
Just
look like it would be a traditional Western,
yeah, yeah, exactly. And
maybe.
like, yeah, and like the if you want to know about it, basically, I guess he dies in a gunfight, and he's stuck in purgatory, and he's trying to work off his penance by killing demons and witches and all these
Wow.
other things. And
Well, that
I was
sounds
kind of
cool.
like, yeah, exactly. I'm like, does it explain what kind of gunfight was this? Was it a Western gunfight? Am I just getting those vibes because of how he looks? Like, like what is it? So I was just like, I gotta have this. Like, and then I've seen it nowhere, but it's been out since May of this year.
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, let's go ahead and get it. Worst comes to worst is I don't like it.
Right, exactly.
you know?
Yeah, Christy says she tried to make you read Dark Tower.
Yeah, that would be my best friend right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. That's
Um, yeah, we're actually in the middle of I think book three.
uh-huh.
That's the one with the train, right?
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
yeah,
one with the
because
train.
we just finished the first part last year, and we haven't touched it since because I was struggling real bad with it. I actually did enjoy the first book, like the Gunslinger itself,
Mm-hmm.
which when I was initially reading it and everything with her, and I was like on some other book platforms, I was like, oh, I'm actually really enjoying this, and others were like, that's actually the worst in the whole series, and I was like, well, I think it's good.
Yeah. Yeah, book one was my least favorite. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um Scott here says he just wrapped Song of Suzanne, and that was his least favorite. And I agree. Song of Suzanne is not great, especially because it just ends. Like, and the way it ends, it's like, okay, I'm lost. And
Oh,
you literally, if you're going to read Song of Susanna, you have to read the final book right pretty much right away after to
ooh,
even know what's happening. So, or to get some
interesting.
resolution. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. It's not. Yeah, it's her least favorite as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I don't know if we're gonna go back to it or not. I know she's like secretly hoping like let's go back to it because I know she does love it. And she does think that the second part of book 3 I will enjoy more. Because I did like the one of my favorite tropes is I'm this brooding, angry man, but I'm gonna protect this child. Like that's one of
Hmm.
my favorite tropes. And she was like, she tricked me. She tricked me, and she knows she did. Because she was like, oh, it utilizes your favorite trope in the first book. And we all know what happens in the first book.
We
We
do.
know what Roland does.
Hmm.
And I've never been so angry.
Oh yeah.
I've never been so angry and like where I'm at right now, I'm just like, Roland can die in a ditch for all I care. And she's like, it gets better. You'll like the second half of the third book. He makes up for it. He can die in a ditch.
Hmm.
I'm like, he cannot make up for what he did in that first book.
Yeah. Yeah, at the very beginning, Roland is very self-serving and
Yeah,
very um very self-serving in terms of his journey to the Dark Tower. Yeah. Whatever will
yeah.
get him closer to the Man in Black and everything. Yeah. So I get your frustration. I really do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially since it utilized like my favorite trope and Stephen King was like, "Oh, your favorite trope? We're going to make you hate it now."
Yeah.
And I was like, "No." So, yeah, it was an experience reading that.
Yeah. I bet. Oh yeah, Scott says he's this was on Mistborn Era 2.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that there's a lot of expansion of the magic system in those books.
Oh.
Um, but yeah, it's yeah, Dark Tower. Um, I, I loved it overall, but it can be a struggle in certain books for
Yeah.
sure. Curious question: do you like? Now, I personally have never read the Canterbury Tales, at least not yet, but I don't know if you have and if you like that sort of thing.
I have read a few of the Canterbury Tales, not like all of them cuz like I did have a copy from the library and I just like randomly read some throughout it, but that was like 2 years ago.
Hmm.
So,
Reason I brought it up is because my second favorite sci-fi series so far is Hyperion,
ooh, that's
and
been on my radar.
that gets compared a lot to the Canterbury Tales.
Really?
Yeah, and because of the way it's formatted, yeah,
Oh,
and
okay.
it's wow. How do I describe it? It's essentially a group of 7 individuals, at least to start off with,
Mhm.
who get on a ship to go to the planet Hyperion to visit the time tombs, where there's a creature that goes back and forth through time called the Shrike,
Okay.
and he goes back and forth through time, killing certain people, doing different things, and they've kind of each of these individuals has reached a crucible point in their life where they want to go and beg um, and beg a favor from the Shrike in hopes that he will grant their wish or or kill them and end their life because they don't want to live anymore. So it's one of the two. It's either, maybe he'll grant my wish, but if he doesn't, at least he'll kill me and it'll be all over with. It
Okay.
but it the first book especially goes through each of their stories
Okay.
in kind of that Canterbury Tales format. So
Oh, okay.
you get little almost like short stories about each of the people who are on the journey, and it's cool. It's really really
Oh.
good.
Yeah,
So
that sounds interesting. Like I said, like because
yeah.
like I saw it at Barnes and Noble like a couple of years ago, and I was like, that looks interesting. And it was like the
Mhm.
old mass market one,
Yes.
and like I'm a sucker for like those old mass market art covers. Like I
Hmm.
love them. And like, it was their all brand new copy and everything. And I was like, oh, that I've never heard of it and it looks interesting. And I was like, I'm gonna go home and look into it. And I did, and then I found out there's like more to it. I think
Hmm.
there's like two other books that go with it.
Yep,
And I
there
was
are.
like, okay, I'm like, it's a whole series. And then I went back and the book was gone. And I was like, of course, I gotta
Hmm.
go find it. So yeah, that is one that I have been wanting to pick up. So it sounds, now that I know a little bit more about it, it sounds
Hmm.
interesting that like, I like the idea of like reading these smaller stories to like build up to like introduce you to people and everything. That sounds kind of fun.
Yeah, it's really really good. And it's not super hard sci-fi, but it's not popcorn sci-fi either. It's kind of
Okay.
in between. But
Yeah.
the author was very heavily influenced by John Keats, who wrote a poem called Hyperion, and as
Oh,
so he was
okay.
kind of inspired by that. And uh, the prose is very poetic,
Oh, okay.
and it's not poetry, but it feels poetic, I should say.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're just really good. Make sure though, especially one of the characters that you will get introduced to is a professor named Saul. You will
Okay.
want at least one box of tissues for his story. I'm just warning you now. It's a
That
tissue box read.
that's my favorite kind of read.
Yeah, as a parent, especially, it is a tissue
Okay.
box read. Yeah,
Okay. Okay. I will keep that in mind when they pop up because I do
yeah.
love a story. One of the big things for me with like figuring out if like a like rating books and everything is I like to feel emotions when
Hmm.
I read. And so like if it makes me angry, if it makes me happy, if it makes me cry, you're getting high stars out of me.
Hmm.
So that's a good selling point. Like I like when people tell me that like, "Oh, it made me cry. You might want to look out for that." So,
Yeah,
I will keep that in mind.
yeah. It's heart wrenching at times with his
Okay.
story,
Okay.
and I'm very comfortable with my emotions, so I don't
Mhm.
have any problems crying. But man, I tell you, I went through several tissues with that one. It was yeah,
Okay.
whew, yeah,
Yeah. Was it
rough.
was it one of those cuz like I've had the ones where I've had to like close the book, set it down and just like cry? Was it
Hmm.
like that?
It was. It was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I had to put the book down for a couple of days just because I was like, I need to recover recover.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
when you read Fall of Hyperion, it'll happen all over again.
Oh, man.
And really, you should read them both together. It's
Okay.
I from what I heard, and this is only hearsay, but from what I heard, he wrote it Hyperion and Fall of Hyperion as one book, but the publisher split
Split it.
it. Yeah,
Okay.
um, so because you will get a cliffhanger at the end of book one, and then oh, okay, we need to
Yeah.
read book two now. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. That's good. That's good to know because that day that I seen it, it was like one of those like, oh, let me just grab it.
yeah. Yeah, Queen Robin Hobb is a yeah, she's another one. Yeah, she'll.
Yes.
I've only read Assassin's Apprentice so far,
Same
but yeah,
here.
I was yep, I was having the waterworks.
Yeah, yeah. That's the only I own the trilogy, but I've only read the first one so far too. And yeah, it had me in my feels.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah.
I will say that Hyperion really deserves an updated edition. Um,
Mm.
I would love like if I don't know if you're familiar with Folio Society, you've probably
Yes.
seen some of their stuff. So if
Yeah.
Folio Society came out with an edition of the Hyperion Cantos, I would be like, here, take my money, please. I would buy that hands
Yeah.
down because it
Oh, okay.
is yeah,
Yeah.
I that's definitely a keeper for me. So
Yeah, I've seen a fancier, newer edition of the first Hyperion.
mhm.
It's like the trade paperback size, but it just says Hyperion,
I've
and it's
seen
like the
that.
goldish color. But like none of they didn't do the other two.
Yeah, I
From what
know.
I've been able to see from my research. They didn't do the other two, so I'm like, that's especially now learning that like it leaves on like a huge cliffhanger. You're kind of
Hmm.
like, um, I want a second. Can you do the second one so it matches?
Hmm.
So yeah, so I'll probably end up getting the old mass markets and doing it that way because I am a sucker for a matching set.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I haven't read Endymion or Rise of Endymion yet, but I, from what I hear, it's a completely separate story, though still connected to Hyperion.
Okay.
So yeah, you get one full complete arc
Yeah.
with the first two books. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
So
good.
I have Endymion, I just haven't read it yet, but I plan to. It's high on my list.
Yeah.
If you cried during Assassin's Apprentice, boy, get ready. Yeah, I've heard
Ah.
that. I've heard
Ah.
that.
Same here. Same
I've
here.
heard that.
But
I'll buy the big set of tissue boxes at
yes.
Costco, and we'll just bring them home and sit on the couch and
There you go. Yeah. 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 I like hearing that though. I like hearing that though, where they're like, oh, if the first one got you, you're
yeah,
in for a ride. Cause then I'm like,
I've
okay.
heard that too. Yeah. Chadi is here. Hi, nice to see you
Hi.
again. Welcome. Yeah. Yeah, so many good books. Are you? I think you're subscribed to like one of the book box
I
programs,
have,
aren't you?
yeah, I have the Goldsboro, their science fiction fantasy one.
Oh,
And
okay.
then I also have the Broken Binding.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I I was very upset because I did not get into the queue for the newsletter, or
Mhm.
to for the subscription. I'm still on the wait list before Jen Williams books came out, and those are beautiful covers.
Which
The Ninth Reign,
Oh,
and
yeah. Yeah, I
oh
have the first one
yeah,
already.
I
Yeah.
read the first book, and it's actually really quite good. And
Really? Okay.
I borrowed the second book from my friend because she let me borrow the first one. I borrowed the
Uh-huh.
second book. I haven't read it yet, but those books are hard to come by. They're not in ebook format,
Oh, I
and
didn't know that.
the the trade paperbacks are fine. They're okay, but
Yeah.
those editions, I was like, oh man. And I see everybody unboxing them, and I'm like, oh man.
Oh.
So yeah, that was a bummer. But I'm still on the wait list, so maybe I'll get
Okay.
into the
Yeah,
subscription
hopefully.
at some point. And
Yeah, hopefully you
what's
will.
Goldsboro? I don't think I'm familiar with that one.
They're a UK based
Oh,
bookstore and they focus on special signed limited editions and that's it. That's
oh,
all they focus on. Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, and they were the first and at the time only adult sci-fi fantasy subscription service that I was able to find because all
Wow.
the other ones like Illumicrate, Fay Crate, Fairy Loot, they all focus on like YA
Yeah.
and I'm not the demographic for YA. I have
Hmm.
learned that over my years of trying to read it. Um, so yeah, so I got that one and like what's nice is like you get one book every month, for the subscription, but
Hmm.
then being in the on the subscription you get access to other titles as well early.
Nice.
And but even then sometimes those early access ones go so fast cuz like
Hmm.
I missed out on the Two-Face Queen for
Hmm.
hardback through them. And I was like, but I had the early access email. But I
Right.
missed it. I missed it because like sometimes they do 500 copies, sometimes they do 1,000, sometimes it's
Hmm.
1,200. So it's all over the place, and like you get like a variety. The last one that we just got was Ordinary Monsters. I'm
Okay.
like, because we got this cool little Ordinary Monsters because we got this
Ooh, that's a
leather.
cool bookmark. I like that.
Yeah, like sometimes they will give you like cool little bookmarks that match them. Sometimes they'll do like a design underneath the dust jacket on the hardcover. They do the sprayed edges. Some have just like a solid color. Some have the stencils. I've got a hefty little collection of them going. Yeah,
That's great.
yeah. So it's a for me. I feel like it's the best subscription I have.
Nice.
Just because one, like, because like Broken Binding, like they're still working out like their shipping prices and everything, so
Hmm.
I do pay a bit much for them, but I know it's because like they're still new, they're still young, like they're just getting their foot out there. Goldsboro has been around longer, so like they were just like, oh, we're raising our shipping, they raised it like $1.
Oh
And I
wow.
was like,
Yeah, that's
and I
not
was like,
much at
okay.
all.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was like, oh, like what is it gonna be now? And it was like it's going from 750 to 850, and I was like, oh, it's not bad.
That's not bad.
Yeah,
Yeah. For
yeah,
international shipping, wow,
yeah,
that's a steal
yeah,
right there.
yeah, exactly. And like they wrap those books. They come in so much bubble wrap.
Oh
But I'm saying,
wow.
but I'm thankful for that because I have seen some of my boxes have come a little mangled, but that book
Hmm.
inside was pristine. It was just no problems at all with it. And the one time I did have an issue with one of my books, it came in. It was The Righteous by David Ragg. It was not signed, and it's supposed to be signed because
Oh yeah.
that's their thing. It's a signed limited books.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
I messaged them and they were like, "We will send you a new one. You can keep that. We're so sorry." And I was like,
Wow.
"Oh,
That's
yeah."
really
And
good.
yeah, and like the author had reached out too, and he sent me some little the little plaque signer stickers everyone
Oh
does,
yeah, the book plates.
book
Yeah.
plates.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. He sent me some of those and was like, "I'm so sorry." He's like, "I had to sign so many," and I was like, "It's okay. Like we're human. It's fine."
That's
you know.
cool.
Yeah. So now I have two copies of it.
Right? The ninth one by yeah, it's
Yes, it
so
is.
beautiful. Yeah, I watched Treebeard's unboxing yesterday too. It's yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen some good ones for Lumicrate. I am on their wait list, and every so often, I'll get the email
You
that
can
I'm on,
join.
that I can join now and see what they're offering. And every time I'm like, no, just put me back on the wait list. Um,
Yeah.
the one exception was the Greenbone Saga. I really wanted to get those, but
Uh,
I thought about it and I'm like, I like those books, but I don't think I like them enough to own to spend that kind of money on a fancy edition of them. So
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
okay. I'll go back on the wait list.
Yeah. Yeah, I've
But
definitely gotten a bit more picky about like what special editions I do pick up.
mhm,
Because like with the Broken Binding subscription, I actually the second series that they're doing right now, the Ninth Reign, I
yeah.
love how they look because like they showed us pictures of them and everything. I love how they look. I think they all look gorgeous. I was honestly like not too blown away by the first law,
Hmm.
because I know in my book haul video you saw that I talked about the second book where I was like I don't like the sprayed edge color, I don't like the
Right.
pink.
Hmm.
When the third one came in, I was like I don't like the orange and green either. I was like I don't like this color combination. Like I didn't like how the sprayed edges didn't talk to the covers. Like
Yeah.
they didn't for me they don't flow. So I was
Yeah.
like but like it was part of the subscription, and I'm like but I like the fact that like their subscription is focusing on backlisted books.
Hmm. I do too.
So yeah, so I'm like, okay, I don't want to lose the subscription just because I want to see what other back issues they do. But
Hmm.
like a lot of like what Illumicrate does and all the other, Fake Crate and Fairy Loot and stuff, I've noticed their special editions lately haven't been as special as what
Hmm.
I would consider spending that kind of money on. Like a lot of them, like I saw one this morning where it was just like the same cover, they just lightened the cover up. Like they called it the pastel version, but I was like, it looks worse, honestly.
Hmm.
But it wasn't enough of a change to where I was like paying two times the amount as the regular edition is worth it,
Hmm.
you know? And so that's where at least with like the Goldsboro ones, like they don't change the covers, but like they do enough other stuff. But at the same time, it's still only like for me with the conversion, it's like $30, maybe a little bit more than that. So like
Yeah,
they're not
that's
even
not bad.
they're not increasing the price of their special editions,
Hmm.
like and if they do, it's not by a lot. Where it's like a Lumicrate, they're like, oh, here's this special edition, it's $150, and I'm like, you
Right.
just changed the color of the cover and sprayed the edges. Like, why is it that much? Like, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah, like I felt like a lot of their earlier ones were better because I have their Madeline Miller slipcase set.
Hmm.
That was worth the money, but even still, I don't think I spent $100 on that one. which is
Yeah.
like confusing to me because a lot of their newer stuff, they're hitting that $100 range. And I'm like, you guys aren't really doing anything to it to make it that worth that money. So
Hmm.
I've gotten a lot more picky about what special editions I'm picking up.
Right.
Yeah.
I hear you there. I've gotten picky too. I can appreciate the benefits
Mhm.
of a subscription model,
Yeah.
but I also kind of don't like it. I like it when you can get a special edition that's available to everybody.
Yeah.
Like I follow Aaron Morgenstern on Twitter. Have you read The Night Circus?
I have not.
Okay, and the Starless Sea. Have you read that
Nope.
one? Okay,
I
yeah.
haven't read either of them.
So she is probably those two books are neck and neck for my second favorite book of all time.
Okay.
They're so good, and so I follow Aaron Morgenstern on Twitter, and why, thank you, Andrew. Yeah, I cleaned up a little bit here. No, I'm actually growing it out a little bit, so we'll see how that goes. Um, what was I saying?
You were talking about Aaron
Oh yeah.
Morgenstern.
So the Night Circus. So yeah, I follow her on Twitter, and she announced a special limited edition illustrated copy of the Night Circus,
Ooh, pretty.
and
I love
it's
illustrated copies.
oh, I do too. And the illustrations so far are gorgeous. It's going to be
Ah.
finalized and released in November, and I'm like, take my money. My second favorite book of all time. I gotta make good on that. The
Yeah.
illustrations are great. They had a really expensive edition where I'm like, yeah, I'm not paying that kind of money. But
Yeah.
I did get a nice edition, and it was available to everybody as long as you got in before they were all sold out.
Yeah.
And I like that. It's by a UK company called Books Illustrated, I think. And
Oh, okay.
yeah, I'm really excited for when that eventually comes out because it is
Yeah.
really beautiful. It's hand bound. Yeah, each one is hand bound, and
Oh, wow.
yeah, it like foiled and everything. Yeah, it's gonna be nice. It's gonna be a
Oh,
nice
yeah.
one.
Is
Oh,
there
no
like a
worries, man. You're
limit?
good.
Is there like a limit to how many of them they're making or
Yeah, there is. I think
okay.
so. The super expensive edition, I think, is still available because most people are like, yeah,
Mhm.
I'm not paying that kind of money. And
Yeah.
then I think the one that I got is still available as well.
Oh, okay.
If you want, afterward, I'll grab your email address and I can send you a link to it if you want. So, or
Okay, yeah.
I
I
I
want to
can
check I
put it
want to check it out
on
on
Twitter or
yeah.
Instagram too. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
but
the
it's beautiful.
yeah, cuz I do like when there's like special versions of books that are like released to like the mass in general,
Hmm.
like the Robin Hobb illustrated editions of the
Oh, those are
Farseer.
so
No.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is the Farseer trilogy, right? I'm like I
Yep.
have them. They're up there. I'm
It's
just
the
like,
Farseer, and I've got my
yeah.
eye on those. I want to read
Yeah.
the entire Farseer trilogy first, but if I like them as well as I think I will based on book one, yeah,
Yeah.
those are gorgeous.
Yeah, see, I took the dive and just bought them because they
Hmm.
had I'm a sucker for illustrations, and they were like this special fancy. It was a series I had been wanting to read and everything, and I was like, you know what? They're released to the mass general. They're the regular price. They have pictures in them. They're pretty. I'm just gonna take the plunge and I'm gonna buy them.
Hmm.
And I have read the first book. I did love it. So like I can tell I'm gonna like the rest of the series too. But I like when not all special editions are limited to a certain amount and it's like a mass release.
Hmm.
And I love when illustrations are included in that because I feel like that's like one of the big things that like so many books that like when they do like the limited thing that they
Yeah.
don't include like
Hmm.
so many books that you get from like these like subscription services where they're like limited edition this and da 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 and there's no illustrations
I
and then
know.
publishers are like here's this mass released version with illustrations in it and I'm like you have my money.
Mhm, exactly.
Yeah. Like,
My
I feel
my
like illustrations need to happen more.
They do. They really do. And my thing is, I have committed to only buying special editions of books that are my top favorites.
Oh, okay.
Like Neil Gaiman, I bought several illustrated editions of his books,
So do I. Same here.
and so yeah, so he's one, and then I did, even though I haven't read it, I did go ahead and buy the new Elrics because uh, the
I have those
Elrics,
too.
yeah, the Michael Moorcock, they were so hard to come by for the longest time, and now they're all
Hmm.
collected. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna snatch those because I have a really good feeling about liking those. But in general, I try not to buy special editions unless I know for sure this is a book that I am going to cherish for years and years to
Mm.
come. So
Yeah.
maybe as Scott says here, let's see, buy and read all of Queen Hobbs. So I'm thinking I
That's the
probably
plan.
will. Exactly. I'm not completely done with Hob, but I do think I'll buy the Farseer ones. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks, Jadia.
They're worth the money considering they're not like super expensive.
Right, I've heard that. Yeah, Christy's a big thrift store girl.
Yes, she does. Yeah, she
Yeah.
is.
See, I get like I read mostly ebooks for the most part. So I get a rush out of paying $1.99 or 99 cents for an ebook. So I'm kind of
Yeah.
there with you, Christy.
Yeah. Yeah, she is. She's a little thrift store fiend because there
Hmm.
are so many books that I have gotten because of her.
Hmm.
And it's like I call it her magical superpower. It's her superpower because like I'm a big fan of Anne McCaffrey. I love her Dragon
Hmm.
Riders of Pern. And I found out that at some point, years ago, they did a trilogy, like they did an omnibus version of the Harper Hall trilogy, and it had this special cover, and it was only released through like this sci-fi club or whatever. And I was like, if you ever come across this one, like, snatch it. I want it. She found it the next day.
Wow,
I
that's
was like, what?
impressive.
What is this sorcery?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, so yeah, she's great. Her and her thrift store finds. She found me the Witcher series without the Netflix sticker on them
Uh-huh.
because I
Oh, I
absolutely
hate those
refuse.
stickers.
I refuse to buy the books that have the Netflix sticker on them. Like
Yeah,
I refuse.
I do
And
too. Well,
she found like all of them.
and the thing is, it's fine if you find a book with a sticker as long as you can take the sticker off,
Yes.
but they've made those stickers permanent, and it's like, no, I don't want
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, and it
Take
always
your name off of it.
clashes.
It
It
does. It clashes,
it
exactly.
it clashes. They put it in a bad spot, and I'm just like, what happened to the days when they used to just like make it a tagline? Because like
I
my copy of
know.
The Hobbit, I
Hmm.
have I have the copy of The Hobbit, and it's the movie cover version, which is a really good one, by the way. And it
Hmm.
says as a tagline at the top, now a major motion picture. And I'm like,
Hmm.
why can't we do that? Like, can't we just write now on
Yeah.
Netflix, now on Amazon Prime? Because like I ran as fast as I could to finish getting the rest of the Robert Jordan series
Hmm.
before that show hit because I knew it was going to get that ugly permanent sticker, and it
Oh,
did.
yep,
And
it did.
it's just this big blue circle that clashes with the overall look, and I'm like, every day you guys find ways to just make people angry.
I know. I know. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
And Apple TV does that too
yeah,
like with I watched the first season of Foundation after I'd read book one in the Foundation series, and they've
yeah,
got that like
yeah.
I've got the ebook. So
And
so
it's
when
even on the ebook pictures.
yeah, it's on the ebook because yeah, they released the TV show cover for the book, so it's got that ugly sticker on. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, it's like you can't escape it digitally, you can't escape it in the store. The only way you can escape it is by going to a thrift store.
Yep, exactly.
Or hoping that like some very special edition will come out.
Right.
Cuz like when they did The Witcher last year with
Hmm.
that special illustrated edition,
Hmm.
that Netflix logo is not on it.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Netflix can't touch the special editions
Yeah,
which is a
exactly.
good thing.
Yeah, it
That
is.
there's probably some law out there that they can only do the mass market stuff and not
Probably.
or the trade paperbacks. Yeah, they can't touch special editions, which is really good.
Yeah.
Ebooks are fabulous too. Yes, they sure are. Yeah.
Yeah.
So teach us your magical ways. Do you have an army of clones that you send to all the thrift stores at once and collect all?
Yeah, it was crazy how
Magical
she did
thrift
that.
store power. Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. What magical ability do you want? I want thrift store power.
Yes. It's mostly specific to the book buying though, because like that's what she's going to these thrift stores for. Because yeah, she goes and checks them all out in her area, and she's like, I found this one and this one and this one and this one and this one, and I'm like, I can't find anything at my thrift stores.
Yeah, Claudia says she's very happy with very old thrift store edition of Foundation. Yeah,
Yes.
The older editions are nice too. I had thought about buying the Barnes and Noble edition of the Foundation trilogy, but I saw a lot of reviews online that said it was like missing pages and pages were out of order and stuff. So I'm like, yeah, maybe I won't do that. And I really like the folio editions for Foundation.
Folio has some good editions.
My finger was on the button, and I'm like, yeah, I don't need it. It's okay.
You're like, I'm almost there.
Yeah, they're just so beautiful. But
yeah,
I decided, I won't do that. I'm still eyeing Howl's Moving Castle, even though I haven't read it yet. But I'm still eyeing those books on Foundation.
Yeah, those ones are pretty.
Like,
yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Do you know which other one that does special editions that like sometimes I'm like, oh, I love it, and sometimes I don't? Subpress.
Yes. Yeah.
They are hit and miss.
And they are in most cases way out of my price range.
And see, and the thing is like I feel like that's only like with certain books, because like I have most of their Penric and Desdemona series, which is amazing. I love it.
I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, I only found it because of Subpress, I believe. No, I found it because they released 2 omnibuses, because they're all novella sizes, and Bane Books released 2 omnibuses. One with 3 books and one with 3 books in it, and that's how I found it, because I loved the covers. But I've noticed with Subpress that like, because like I have their Subpress editions of the Penric books, and they're like $45. It's signed, it's limited, it's got the special cover art and everything. And then there's other ones like the Poppy War, where they're like $300, and I'm like, why? Like, right. So like their pricing confuses me, because it's all over the place. Like some of their books, it's like I've seen some of their special editions for like $25. And I'm like, why is this one only $25 and this one's like $300? And I think it's because like they really do play into popularity of an author and popularity of a book. And I do think sometimes they take advantage of the fact that like, oh, Poppy War is super popular and everybody wants it, everyone loves it, so let's make money off of it, and let's put it up as high as we can. And it sometimes irritates me, because like I said, all my Penrics were affordable. They were all in like the $45 range, which to me is like, it's a little bit more like, it's a little much for a novella, considering how small a novella is. But I'm like, it's got the special cover. Individually, I don't think they're printed massively anymore. Like you can get them ebook wise, but I do think their pricing is kind of all over the place. But I also think sometimes like when I look at like the cover design that they do with the typography on it, I'm just kind of like, you guys approved of that?
Right. I know it's crazy sometimes.
Yeah.
Chadi is putting your own question to you about Penric and Desdemona.
Okay, so so basically what it is Penric is he starts out as a young man, because you about 19, and he comes across a older lady who's like passing away, and magic and demons and stuff exist in this world, and the gods, and she, as she's dying, she transfers her demon to him. And it's a female demon, and it's not just her, it's her and 10 other variations of herself, including a horse and a lion. Uh,
Wow.
and
Okay.
they live in Penrick's head,
Uh-huh.
and they talk to him. And now, like, to certain people, like, he's considered like, oh, we shouldn't mess with him because he's part of the demon following king and or god, and like, that's it's like the god that like nobody wants to mess with and such.
Right.
And Penrick's like, I'm just trying to live my life. Like, he was supposed to get married, obviously didn't happen,
Yeah.
and but like he goes on like little mini adventures where he has to utilize the demon that's in his head to, you know there sometimes they feel like little mysteries.
Uh-huh.
And because like I know like Mira's Last Dance, it like has like this, it's honestly the best one too, because he goes through some stuff because of these demons in his head. They put him through the ringer. But he has to like solve this mystery around what is happening inside of this place where he's at, that have taken this woman that he has fallen in love with. And then
Mm-hmm.
there's that storyline where like he has to rescue the woman he loves as well as her mother. And then he meets their brother, and just it's all these different little tiny stories, and it's just like his life as it progresses and
Mm-hmm.
what happens in that exact moment. So it's not like one giant story that's like connected and everything. It's like his life. Like each book is just a different section of his life and what's
Yeah.
going on. But the biggest aspect is the fact that he has 10 demon ladies living in his head, and they all talk to him at different times, and they can use his body to speak.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
it gets him into trouble because sometimes they have used him to flirt with other men. And have
That's
almost
great.
gotten him beaten up for it.
Mm-hmm.
Like things like that. Like it's just a really fun, and it feels like just like very it's very low fantasy. There is the
Yeah.
magic aspect and everything, which does like come into play at different times, but a lot of times he tries not to use the magic because
Mm-hmm.
it drains his body and it does
Makes
harm
sense.
to him. And then a lot of the times you're also like, he wants to know more about these demons and like their history and where they came from, and some are just like, I'm not talking to you, you're a man. And then the one of the other aspects is like the church that his god is a part of, they're like, you're a guy, how did a lady demon attach to you? This has never happened before.
Right.
So like there are like little things that do carry over into the other books, but like each book is very, it's just straight standalone to itself,
Oh,
and it's just watching his everyday life trying to live with 10 demon ladies, a horse, and a lion in his head.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a good question. Is it fantasy world or our world?
It's Fantasy World. It's part of so it's by Lois McMaster Bujold, and it's part of
Oh,
her
I've heard of
Five
her.
Gods. Yeah, it's part of her Five Gods world.
Okay.
So it's like she's got like her main Five Gods world, which I haven't read yet, and this is like Penrick lives within that world. So I know the magic system and the god systems play into both of them and everything, and you do get like the history of the five gods and everything.
Yeah.
But like there's also like shamans, spirits, ghosts, you know, possession.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it
Yeah, so it's
sounds
very fun.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this year she's releasing the first like full-length novel for it.
Okay.
Cuz other than that they've all just been novellas.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So they're very easy to get through. So
Yeah, sounds like it.
I'm looking forward to the full-length novel. I've got it on pre-order from Subpress.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I don't know. So much that I've seen from Subpress is just kind of way out of my price range. Like, yeah, Charlie here 300 is
Yeah.
just, yeah, it's
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
money. Although that is it's what I spent for Night Circus. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a book
But
that you
yes,
absolutely love and
it
everything,
is.
and
And there have been other special editions of that, but they are so hard to come by. I think Illumicrate did one,
yeah, they did.
but
As far as I know, yeah.
yeah, and if you try to get it through like eBay or something like that, it's like $600-700. Starless Sea the same way. Those are extremely.
Yeah.
Illumicrate did one for Starless Sea, and it was beautiful, but I just didn't get on the
Yeah.
bandwagon in time, and so
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
between my Madeline Miller that I got through um Illumicrate, which was I got Circe and Song of Achilles because Circe is my absolute favorite book next
mhm,
to Kings of the Wild. Like that is those two are constantly I'm like, yeah, you're number one, you're number one, you're number two, you're you know.
right.
But the other like very expensive because I think for that one it was like I think like 85, maybe close to 100.
Okay.
But I have the Grim Oak press of Prince of Thorns by Mark Lawrence.
Mhm,
I did the cheaper one, the 150. I did the
mhm.
150 one, but it's still very nice.
It looks nice. I remember seeing you showcasing that one, and
Yeah.
I DNF that book, so I won't
Ah.
buy those, but the covers are nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the new art and everything, and then there's art in it as well,
Mhm,
which was a big selling point for me as well.
mhm,
Um, and but I do feel when Broken Binding showed their edition of the Prince of Thorns anniversary edition, I was
mhm,
I was a little like, because Grim Oak Press had sold this one to everybody as like this is our special edition, this is a cover for our version.
mhm.
And then Broken Binding did it, but then they were like, oh well, it's because it's U.S. UK, like that's how we're getting away with using the same cover, and I was just kind of like, fine.
Right.
like
I
like it was
know.
like because they you had like that in your head that like, oh, I have this special version with this cover,
Mhm.
because I liked the I haven't read the third book yet because I have a fear of my favorite character dying, and
Uh,
my brain's like, if you don't read it and he does die, it doesn't happen.
okay. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I've heard that. I've heard people say that for other series as well. It's just like, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't want to find out what happens, and
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I do plan on reading it obviously because I do want to know what happens, but I'm still just like, oh, if I don't read it and it does happen, then it didn't happen because I didn't read it.
mhm, right.
Just gonna ignore it. And then of course what'll end up happening is I'll read it and they won't die and I'll be like, I put this off for 3 years.
Right. Grimoire Press is really, they have some nice editions. I've been looking at the one for Uprooted and Spinning Silver, and I
Ah,
love
okay.
them, but I haven't read those books yet, so I'm gonna wait. And I'm like, okay, if I
Yeah.
if I really like those books, I might look at the Grim Oak editions because Grim Oak is fairly reasonably priced too.
Yeah, they are.
They're
Yeah.
not nearly as expensive as some, and I know Sean Speakman. I've met him before. Really great guy, and
Uh-huh.
he does some nice work with those. So
Oh, okay. Yeah.
yeah, he's a good guy. So um, I have a horrible Dutch edition of King of Thorns. Haven't seen that one, but yeah,
Yeah, neither have
I'll
I.
take your. I might have to go look that up sometime today. Then
Right?
yeah, just
Yeah.
to see what it's like, but. I'm sure Mark Lawrence is a great author, and I'll probably maybe read some of his other books,
Hmm. Yeah, he's
but
got plenty.
yeah, he does have plenty. But yeah, the
Empire.
Broken Empire trilogy
Yeah.
just didn't work. Yeah, I keep wanting to say Broken Earth, but no, that's N.K. Jemison's, and I love those. That's another one where I would really love to see a nice special edition come
Hmm.
out. I mean, and they're short books, right? So there's like 300 plus each, so they could conceivably do just a one book bind up of all three in a really nice illustrated edition, and
Yeah.
I think that would be very well served because I love those books that not everybody does, but I love them.
Yeah. I haven't read those ones yet.
Yeah, they're
I've
really good. The second person, that there's points in the books where the second person narrative is very heavily used, and that turns a lot
hmm
of people off.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what
Yeah,
I've heard.
but I love N.K. Jemisin. I plan to read everything that she's written now. So yeah, yeah, she
Yeah.
sold me with those books. Me too. That's when I would pay. Like, yeah. It would be worth it for sure. I would
Yeah.
definitely do that for those books. But
Yeah, I'm for me an author like that for me is Madeline Miller for sure. Like
okay,
I
yeah,
will I will I
she
will
did
she
the
did
Song of
the
Achilles, right?
yeah,
And
yeah. Yeah, I
Ariadne,
still
yeah.
no, she did not do Ariadne, that was Jennifer Saint. She did
What one am I
Circe.
thinking? Oh,
She did
that's right.
Circe and
That's the
then
one I'm thinking of.
yeah, and she also did Galatea.
Okay.
Yeah, that was like it was like a short story. I have it. I have this cute little teeny tiny edition. It's like this big
Oh,
because it's like
that's
50
awesome,
pages. It's so
right?
adorable. But
Is that
yeah,
one that you have to look like this to read it? It's a really tiny print.
no, actually, it's not like the print's actually like pretty nicely sized inside of it.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
yeah, it's like it's a very short story. It was the way she turned the mythology around in it though was amazing. I was like, I at the end, I was like, you go, girl. It was like
That's
it was one of
cool.
those like yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she's definitely because like when the Lumicrate had announced the duo that they did, I was like, I have to, I have to have this. Like I had my sister also have a Lumicrate open that day. I was like, if I don't get it and you get it, and it's mine. Like
Right.
we're gonna get this. I and I was lucky that I got it, and I was even able to snag the signed version because they had an unsigned and a signed, and
Yeah.
so I was able to get the signed one. But yeah, she is one that I will. She's an instant buy author for me. She was teasing her latest one. She's doing a Hades and Persephone
Oh.
retelling, which
Oh, that's
I'm
interesting.
I'm the kind of I'm kind of over Hades and Persephone retellings. I actually prefer Eros and Psyche when it comes to the Greek mythology love stories. I prefer theirs, but it's Madeline, so I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna read it.
You're gonna read it anyway. Yeah.
She's gonna have my money either way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. 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 You're with her like I am with game, and I'm just like, yeah, yeah. Give me my, yeah, take my money. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Get,
yeah. I have a fair amount of gaming too. I
yeah.
he's another like instant buy. Like yeah.
Do you have the new illustrated edition of Ocean?
Yes, I do.
So I don't know if you've read it yet, but
I have not. I have read the book, but I haven't read that version
yeah.
yet.
So last year when I did the reread of Ocean at the End of the Lane, I did an immersive read. I did the audiobook and I used my illustrated edition because I'm like, oh, I want to look at all the fancy artwork and everything like that.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of upset because they slightly abridged it. They took out sentences
No.
because I was listening to Neil Gaiman read it, and I'm like, okay, something's wrong here. And I thought, well, maybe he's just putting his own flair on it and making a few changes, and he's the author. That's allowed.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I went and got my basic standard edition, and I looked at the same section, and I'm like, no, they changed it.
No.
And so
Why would
now
they
I'm
do
like,
that?
I don't know. Maybe they had to do it to fit the illustrations in or something. I have no idea, but I was so upset. I'm like, I mean,
Oh no.
it's a beautiful book. It
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
is. But if there's ever another illustrated edition commissioned of that book, I will probably latch onto it as long as it's not the abridged version because I was so
Yeah.
bummed. I
Yeah.
was
That's.
so bummed.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah.
That'd be like getting the graveyard book and it having pieces removed. Like.
Yes. Yeah.
Like.
That graveyard book's another one. I'm like, take
Yeah,
my
I love
money.
that one. Yeah, yeah, I love that one. That one and
Yeah.
Stardust. Graveyard
Yeah.
Book and Stardust
Stardust is great.
are those ones are my two like favorite ones. Have you
Yeah.
read, because I haven't really seen a lot of people ever bring it up, but have you read his Frost and the Odd Giants?
Oh, Odd and the Frost Giant. I haven't
Yeah,
yet.
Odd and the Frost Giants. Yeah, I had
Yeah,
my letters all mixed up.
that's one that I still haven't read. There's a few of his I haven't read. Anansi Boys I haven't read. Odd, and maybe that's it. But yeah, because I've read Coraline and the Graveyard Book, and I've read all those. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think I haven't read Odd and the Frost Giants though, but it's on my list to read for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's a really nice illustrated version of that because I have it, and it's because it's a very short story. It's not like
Mhm.
a long like chapter book or anything. It's like a children's short story.
Where can you buy the illustrated of that one? Because I'm
I
thinking if I get it, I'll probably just go ahead and grab it.
Yeah, I found it at Barnes and Noble in the kids department.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's see, how much time do I have after I drop my daughter off from work? No, I'm just kidding. I'll
Yeah,
get to Barnes and
I
Noble eventually.
yeah, I found it in there just by chance because like I actually had listened to the audiobook because I love listening to his audiobooks because I like his voice.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, and so I always like I have actually listened to the Graveyard audiobook by him 3 times, and I've listened to the whole ensemble like 3 times, and then I've read it
Yeah.
myself. But yeah, that's how I found Odd and the Frost Giants. It was in the library with all the other Gaiman stuff, and they were like, "Hey, we see that you apparently are obsessed with this guy. So have you read this one?" And I was like, "No." So I got it, and I was like, "This is so fun. Like I like it. It's simple. It's short. It's fun. It's got that
Yeah.
whimsical, Gaiman vibe and everything." And then I saw it at Barnes and Noble, I think like a couple months ago, or maybe it was
Yeah.
last year, and I was like, "We're gonna take you home."
Yeah. Right. Well,
Yeah.
I've often joked that, uh, if Neil he doesn't know me, but if he could write my eulogy for one of these days for when I'm no longer around, or if he wanted to come and do my funeral, even though he doesn't know me, I mean, please feel free to.
Right?
He can narrate my life story. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm like if he was to narrate like a good majority of books out there, I would not object.
Right. Yeah, have you watched his it went viral on YouTube, his make good art speech.
No, I
It
have
was like
not.
a commencement speech that he did for a art college, I think in like Massachusetts or something.
Hmm.
Or maybe it was in the UK for an art school there, but yeah, he did the commencement speech, and I have watched that thing probably 50 times. I
Mm.
love it. It is so good. And it's only 20 minutes.
I'll have to go and
But
find it
yeah,
and give it a
make good
watch.
art. Yeah, you'll easily be able to find it. It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. He talks about how he ended up with Coraline. Um it's Coraline was a misspelling that he just ended up going with.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Because he was writing Caroline and it came out Coraline, and he misspelled it, and he's like, oh, that looks like somebody's name. And so that's how Coraline was born.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I but we better stop talking about gaming because I could just go on and on for the entire rest of the stream about gaming. So yeah, well, um, I'm really excited about the Sandman miniseries. Have you read the Sandman graphic novels?
I have not. I have not, but I do the show from the trailer and everything. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
it looks so interesting. So I'm kind of thinking that I would rather watch it first,
Mm-hmm.
just so that I can just experience it, just not knowing anything since I've never read it, and
Yeah.
then going back and reading it later. Um, but I also think I'm pretty good at like separating the two medias from each other. I've never really been big on like every now and then you can catch me being like, well, they didn't do that in the book.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, I like to appreciate them both like separately.
I'm kind of the
I
same
don't
way.
yeah, I don't like to like sit there and be like, "Oh, it was better as a book or it was worse as this." And, like
Mm-hmm.
they're different mediums, and I understand that like not everything can be included. Sometimes you have to
Mm-hmm.
change things just for the vision, like for like visually. Like it may work writtenly, but that doesn't mean it's going to work visually, you
Mm-hmm.
know? So, yeah, so I'll probably end up just watching it first and just like having my introduction to it be through the show because it
Yeah.
seems very interesting.
Well, it'll be a good introduction because I feel very good about all that they've done with the show so far. Dream was perfectly cast. Um, uh, the old man who initially imprisons Dream, Burgess, was perfectly cast as well. What's his name? I can't think of the actor's name from Game. He was in Game of. He played Tywin Lannister in Game of Thrones. Charles Dance. He is perfectly cast. I couldn't be happier. Oh
Oh, nice.
yeah, I'm so excited. They've got um uh Oh gosh, Patton Oswalt doing the voice of Matthew the Raven. I'm like, yeah, this was perfectly cast. I'm
Sounds like
just,
it.
I'm so excited. Trailer looked pretty good. Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
I'm impressed with what they're doing so far. And the nice thing is Neil Gaiman is intimately involved with it, and I think that's what
Yeah.
makes the difference.
Yeah.
I think if George R. R. Martin had been more involved with Game of Thrones than he was, I think fans would have been happier.
It's
Um,
possible.
but
I
I enjoyed Game of Thrones. I'm one of those few that actually I didn't love season 8, but I didn't hate it either. I thought it was okay.
I
So,
have I've only watched the first season.
mhm,
It's weird because like I've always been like the big fantasy like person in my family. And
mhm,
so when it came out, when that first season came out, like my family was like, "Oh, you gotta watch it, da da da," and I was like, "Yeah, I'll give it a shot," and like I enjoyed it, but I didn't enjoy it.
mhm,
But my family fell in love with it. Like they watched all the seasons. I own the first 3 seasons on
mhm,
DVD, but I haven't watched past the first one.
mhm.
And I don't know, there was just something about it where I was just like, I'm not feeling this. Like it's not, this isn't the fantasy that I particularly enjoy. And that's not like I don't have anything against grimdark because
Mhm.
I do like darker fantasies, but
Yeah,
for whatever reason, A Song of Ice and Fire was just not, we did not connect.
yeah, and that's fair. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair. There, that story in general is not for everyone. The books are or the shows. So
Yeah.
it's one of my favorite series of all time, and so I was fully invested in the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's another one that's not for everyone. But I think the difference really is when the author is intimately involved.
Same here.
I liked that Rick Riordan is intimately involved with the new adaptation for Percy Jackson coming out.
Yes.
I
Yes. And
think
I'm
that will
looking
make all
forward
the
to that.
difference. I only read the first 2 books. I do plan to
Oh.
finish the series, but
Mhm.
the first 2 movies were the first one was okay. The
Yeah.
second one was not.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I
Yeah.
just wasted 2 hours of my time. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm excited about the series, and I think that really makes the difference. I think that's why Good Omens was so good, was
Yeah.
because Neil was so intimately involved with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like because it's their story, they know their vision and like they
Yes.
know where they want to make the changes, what they want to do differently. Because like I know they did the YA book Shadow and Bone by
Hmm.
Lee Bardugo, and I know she
Hmm.
took part in that. And I know there was a lot of things that were changed that like a lot of people didn't like, but I'm like,
Hmm.
well, at least she was involved, and it wasn't just like Hollywood being like, we're gonna change it just cause. Like
Right.
she was a part of the changes, and so I figure, if you're gonna believe anybody's changes to their own work, it would be better to come from the author.
Yep. I
That's how
agree.
I see it. So I do like that, like more of like these shows, that these books that get picked up, they do decide to work with the authors.
Hmm.
And but I also know that there's some authors that are like very like I know with Rydorian, like he was like, I have to work on this if you're going to do it. He was
Hmm.
like, that's like, that was like one of like the stipulations for bringing it, doing it again live and everything, was like, I have to be a part of it. So
Exactly. Yeah,
yeah.
because he got burned really bad with the movies. I felt bad for him, and yeah,
Yeah.
he was very outspoken about the fact that he was not a happy camper. And
Mhm.
I remember way back in the day when the first I had not read Wizard of Earthsea at the time, but I remember when the first TV miniseries was released many years ago for Earthsea,
Mhm.
and they whitewashed the main character. Oh,
Ooh.
Ursula Le Guin was livid.
Oh, I can
She was
imagine.
livid because the main character is black. You
Oh,
don't.
okay.
There was no reason to whitewash the character.
Yeah.
There was just no reason for it, except that they
Yeah.
didn't want to have a main character as in the lead that's black at the time, and
Yeah.
that's just
Yeah.
ludicrous. But yeah, so it really pays for authors to be involved with their
Yeah.
work. I know N.K. Jemisin is working on a script actually for The Broken Earth, from what I heard, and
Yeah, yeah, I've heard about that.
I
Yeah.
think Fonda Lee is pretty involved with the Greenbone saga through Peacock. I don't know why
Mhm.
they chose Peacock, but they chose Peacock, so I'm like, okay.
I don't know, maybe
But
I don't know because I know it's a free platform.
hmm
So maybe it's because I know a lot of these shows are coming out on like paid subscription platforms.
yeah,
Maybe it's like a new tactic to be like, we want someone to see this, but like, let's make it
hmm
available to more people.
right.
I have the Peacock app through my Xfinity and everything.
Okay.
So
I thought for some
yeah,
reason I thought Peacock was freemium. I thought it was one of those where
I
you
think it
get
is.
so much.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, okay.
yeah. But
Maybe
like
I'm
I
wrong,
know
but
I think it is like it's somewhere along those lines, but I know
mhm.
because I have Xfinity and I have like their special little like box or whatever, I have the Peacock with it involved at no cost.
Nice. Okay,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I did like, I haven't read Shadow and Bone, but I really liked the miniseries on Netflix.
mhm.
And I have read Six of Crows, and I was so
Yes.
excited because like the the guys that they got from the Crows team, I think they cast them perfectly.
Same here.
I
Same here.
was a little I was a little iffy on Nina, but I think she'll grow on me. But the rest of them, I'm
mhm.
like, okay, yeah, those are the Crows.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't finished watching the mini series yet because I did start it. I think I got like 4 episodes in, maybe
Mm,
3. But and I think it's because I was getting impatient because Nina and Matthias were always my favorite characters from the Six of Crows
yeah, I
duology.
yep,
I loved them so much that their story was I loved it, and so I was just getting very impatient, and I
yeah.
was like, "You're gonna take it too long," because I haven't read the Shadow and Bone trilogy,
hmm
but I've read the duology, the Six of Crows duology, and I loved it. So I
hmm
was just like, I was like, I just want to see the crows. I don't care about these other people. I just want to see the crows.
Right.
I was just being picky.
I thought they even did a really good job with the with the tension, the romantic tension between Kaz and Inej.
Oh yeah.
I
Okay.
thought they handled that really well because it's very evident now. I haven't read Crooked Kingdom yet. I will,
Oh, you're gonna need
but
to.
I know like by the end of Six of Crows, the romantic tension between those two was very heavy.
Yeah, it is.
You know, and partly because deep down, Kaz doesn't have a lot of self esteem and
Mhm. Yeah.
confidence in himself to be able to make the jump. Say, hey, I like you. Let's do
Yeah.
this thing. But
Yeah. But there's also other things that you learn about him in the second book that also like give you more reason as to why he doesn't make that plunge into releasing his feelings.
nice.
So
Okay.
you do learn more about like what his issues are altogether and everything.
Okay,
So
that's good.
yeah.
I'm very excited to read it. I just need to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I ended up reading those back to back because I was just like I like I finished it and I was like I have to know what happens next. Like I gotta know.
Makes sense. I completely understand. I should have
Yeah.
done that. It's
Yeah,
been a
and
while
it
since I
left
read the book one.
Cricket Kingdom left me shattered. Okay, like it
hmm
I was a crying mess.
hmm
So,
Good Omens was perfect and the cast was awesome. Yes, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. You know, I like women, but I do have to say David Tennant is an easy man crush. You know, David Tennant is so awesome at everything that he's in. He's my favorite doctor. If you watch Doctor Who,
I don't.
he's my favorite doctor. He was amazing in Harry Potter. Um he was amazing in Good Omens. Obviously, I'm just so I liked him in Jessica Jones. I thought he was great as the Purple Man. I'm just give me anything with David Tennant. Yeah, he's like Gaiman for me. He's my if you put David Tennant in something, I will watch it. There was a I think it was is it Around the World in 80 Days? I think they just recently released a new movie or series about Around the World in 80 Days with
Hmm.
David Tennant
Oh.
as the primary actor in that. I'm like, okay, I've got to watch that at some point. Yeah, he's a great actor. So, but yeah, he was perfectly cast as Crowley. That whole show was perfectly cast,
Yeah,
and
it's
now
one
we're
that I
getting a
still gotta
season
watch.
two.
Oh, see, I
Yeah,
didn't know there was a season 2. I gotta watch season 1 so that I can be, so because I haven't
yeah.
watched season 1 yet.
They're filming season two, and they've
Okay.
talked about a season three as well. Um,
Okay.
the first season is a complete story. You get the whole book in season one,
Okay.
but he and Terry Pratchett had come up with a bunch of ideas for continuing the story,
Oh, okay.
but then of course Terry Pratchett died, so they never went anywhere with it. But Neil had a lot of notes and material for a second season, so Amazon Prime was like, "Hey, let's do this. It's one of our best-selling shows or
Okay.
best watch shows." So yeah.
Yeah. And as long as he's working on it, then, he can
Hmm.
get, the vision out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And yeah, Earthsea was very bad. Yeah. Have you read American Gods?
No. I
Yeah.
haven't I haven't read some of his bigger chunkier ones. Um
American Gods is okay. It's not my favorite. And Stars had a mini series of it that
yeah.
went 3 seasons. And to my knowledge, they didn't finish the story. I watched the first 2 seasons of it, and
Uh-huh.
it was pretty good. They made a lot of changes, but
Mm.
Neil was okay with the changes they made, so that's all that matters. So,
Yeah. Yeah,
he,
as long as they're okay with the changes.
yeah. But it was a fun book. Um I would probably read it again just because it's Neil, but it's not my favorite of his books. So
Oh, okay.
for
Yeah, I
sure,
don't, yeah, the Good Omens, the American Gods, and Anansi Boys?
Anansi Boys, yeah.
Anansi Boys, yeah. I haven't when I look at them, I'm kind of like, okay, like it's Gaiman, but then like I don't know, there's something about them where I'm just kind of like, if I read them, I read them.
Hmm.
Like, and I don't know what it is. It's like when I look at Neverwhere or I look at Stardust or Graveyard Book, like I'm just like that sounds interesting. Like just by title alone, it sounds interesting. But the other ones, like their titles, like they don't grab me,
Hmm.
And then with how many different variations all of his books have been printed in, because they all have,
Yeah.
they always get a cover where I'm just kind of like, and I'll admit, like I'm a cover buyer. Like
Oh yeah, I like covers
I
too.
yeah, like I want because like for me, I'm like that's the first thing that pulls me in is the cover, then the title, and then if I decide to, I read the synopsis, like which I don't always do. It's very rare when
Hmm.
I do. And so like I just haven't seen like a copy of any of those books where I've been like, oh, this looks very interesting. But I've
Yeah.
also noticed that like a lot of his like because there's so many variations. Have you seen the watercolor variations that they did?
Yeah, I don't
They're
like
just
those at all.
yeah, they don't do anything for the
They're
books.
pretty.
Yeah.
They're nice. They're very nice artistically, but I don't like
Yeah.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
I
don't they
wouldn't
don't
buy
fit
them.
like the book or whatever. Like when you look at it, you're like it's a blob of water.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's what it feels like. Yeah.
Right? Like I feel like the only one it like kind of works for is Ocean at the End of the Lane because of like water,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
even
it
still
kind of
like that's a
does.
stretch.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could go to I could go to a wine and paint night and make something better than that. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you though. It's yeah. I do like a good cover. So,
Yeah.
do you like audiobooks?
Yeah, I do. I
Yeah.
listen to quite a bit of them.
Do you have an Audible subscription?
I do not.
Okay.
That's just I get all of mine through the library.
Okay, yeah, makes
Yeah.
sense. The reason I asked is because I don't know if it's an Audible exclusive. I think it used to be, but there is an all cast production of Good Omens with David Tennant and Michael Sheen, yeah,
Okay.
reprising the roles for the audio of the
Oh,
book,
okay.
and then it's got other people cast as well, like Arthur Darvill is cast for one of the roles or a couple of the roles, and so
Okay.
you might enjoy Good Omens as an
That.
audiobook. My daughter have been listening
Okay.
to it slowly in the car when I take her to work and stuff like that. So
Okay.
it's a great audiobook.
Okay.
Of course, I've
Oh,
read the physical book before, but
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. If it's exclusive to Audible only, then I'll have to figure out a way to do it. But if it's not, then my library is pretty good about getting like multiple variations of his audiobooks because they have
Hmm.
both like the whole ensemble and then they have the one just by him.
Hmm.
So um, if it's widely available, then I'll check with them. That's the only time that I don't like Audible is when it's like exclusive to just them, and I'm like,
Yeah, I get it.
stop it. Because I
Hmm.
know that was the issue with the Sandman because they did the audio the audio one for Sandman, but I remember I was able to get part one because they had like he had it up for like a certain like I think it was like a month or whatever
Hmm.
where you could get it for free.
Yep.
And I was like,
Hmm.
I was on top of that. I was like, yeah, get
Right, free. I'll
yeah,
take it. Yeah.
yeah,
I
exactly.
think I think he did that with volume 2 of the Sandman as well, but I can't remember.
Well,
Um,
I remember him saying he was going to, but I never came across it actually happening because I didn't
mm,
even know if part two was released yet or not.
yeah, maybe he couldn't convince the publisher or Audible or whatever. So
Yeah,
yeah, because that's money that ends up not going in the voice actors' pockets, and so
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, it's good though. Yeah, I have both of the Sandman audio volumes so far,
Okay.
and I think he's supposedly doing the whole series, so there will probably be at least 4 of them
Oh, okay.
on audio. So yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, so many good ones out there, and so little time it seems like to just read everything or spend time reading with work and
Yep.
things like that. I forgot, what do you do for work?
I just work retail.
Oh, okay, nice,
Yeah.
nice.
Yep.
Yeah,
No-
yeah. Retail's fun. I don't miss it, but it definitely has a different. It's just a whole different atmosphere. It's
It
fun. I
is.
worked for Walmart back in the day for a
Mm.
short bit, and it's interesting.
Yeah. It's a you have to like really learn how to work with people when you're in
Hmm.
retail and you learn how to fake it really fast. You know?
Yes.
If there's one thing I've learned how to do is to pretend to be happy.
Right. Yeah.
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 So
Yeah. You walk in the door. Okay. Where's my smile? I got to put my smile on.
exactly. Got to put my work face on.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. I feel you. I mean, some days it's easy. Some days it's easy, but sometimes it really isn't. You're like, yeah, I
Yeah.
don't want to be here today.
Yeah, exactly. It's draining too. That's one of my biggest problems that I'm having right now with like finding time to read
Hmm.
because I wasn't working during the pandemic, so I had all the time in the world to read and I was getting
Hmm.
so much done. Now that I'm back to working, I just come home exhausted.
Oh yeah,
And
I
like
get it.
even thinking of like picking up a book just feels more exhausting. But then like I also
Hmm.
have to like make dinner for my daughter, talk to her about her day, see how she is, listen to her
Mm.
go, "It's so hot in this house, mom." And I'm like, "I know." I
I know.
know. you know. So like finding time to read it can be exhausting. Like I do probably still do most of it on my weekends now.
Yeah.
Um but she's also very good at like if she sees me reading, she pretty much won't bother me unless she
Oh,
absolutely has to.
nice.
So yeah, like and if she does, it's always like, "Mom."
Right? Please, Mom.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, exactly. It's just and then like other times, it's funny because like sometimes she'll ask me like what I'm reading,
Hmm.
and I'll tell her about it, and she's like, "That's a lot of stuff, Mom." And I'm
Right.
like, "Yeah, yeah,
It's
I
like,
know."
yeah, I'm not ready for that, Mom.
Yeah. Yeah. I like showing her all of my special editions, and like so like she's out of town right now with her dad, and so when she comes back, I have so many special editions to show her. I'm gonna be like, look at
Oh,
this, look at this, and she's like, pretty, pretty. I don't like that one, pretty.
yeah. That's cool. Oh, Kayla's here. Hi, Kayla. Nice to see
Hello.
you. And yeah, working retail is very tough.
It
Yeah.
is. It is.
Especially during the holidays, because I mean, you're
Oh
pretty
yeah.
much guaranteed to have to work the holidays, and it's a
Mhm.
nightmare. So,
It is. It is.
yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
don't miss
Yeah.
that. It's gonna go go home, grab a glass of wine, crawl into bed with a good book, and call it a day.
Right. Exactly. You gotta escape the real world and go to somebody else's problems.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how I always see it. Whenever I pick up a fantasy book, I'm always like, well, time to ignore my problems to find out what their problems are.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, it can be very stress relieving just to escape into a good book.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it is. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's good, but book readers have it good, right?
I like to think so.
Yeah. Now you still do you still maintain your blog? I know you have a blog.
Yes, I do. It's
Hmm.
um I've just been kind of like struggling with writing at the moment, but also like I have a review ready, but I haven't received the book yet still, and
Oh, okay.
I like to do pictures with my
Hmm.
reviews, and I'm like any day now. Any day now. So like I've got one ready, and then like I actually just I'm in the process of writing up a review for Dragonflight,
Okay.
because
Yeah.
I'm gonna my goal is to like read the entire Pern series this year, because I've read it here and
Cool.
there in pieces, but I've
Yeah.
never read the whole thing. And so that's like one of my goals this year, which I started very late.
It's like
you
12
know,
or 15 books, right?
it's 26.
Oh, well, I was wrong. I was
It is
way off.
it is 26, and I own 24 out of the 26 so far. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, because
Boy.
I take into consideration that there are the ones by Todd McCaffrey and Gigi McCaffrey, her
Oh, got
kids.
it. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, just so I have some things written up and everything, but also aside from just like having some struggle with like sitting down and writing, like my
Hmm.
computer is breaking. So, it's like
That's a,
some days it'll turn on and it's like half the screen doesn't
oh
work,
no. Oh,
and I'm
that's
like
the worst.
well, I can't exactly type if half the screen doesn't work.
Right.
And so like thankfully it doesn't like affect the YouTube stuff, since I do that all through my phone.
Hmm.
So but yeah, I do still have the blog. I do still maintain it. I just I put the third book for Song of Kamaria on there recently because I took part in the book tour for that.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So it's still there. It's struggling a little bit.
Hey, no worries. Well, everybody go
Uh,
and subscribe to the blog too. I admire
yes.
you. I was not I started a blog several years back before I got into the whole booktube thing or even knew about it. And
Uh-huh.
I did one or two reviews, and I couldn't keep up with it regularly. It just
Yeah.
yeah. I like to write. I do write books. I just couldn't keep up with a blog. So
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that I have learned since having the blog is I do not want to write a written review for everything that I read.
hmm.
Sometimes I want to like go into detail and like write about like what I loved about it and like do like a nice like full like on review for it. And other
Hmm.
times I just want to be like, it was good. I enjoyed it. Like it made me cry. Five
Yeah.
stars.
Right?
But it's like because I started to realize that like my reading had started to fall behind because I was so hyper focusing on the fact that I had to write a review for everything that I read.
Yeah.
And so like it just got to a point where like I wasn't so much as enjoying my books anymore because I was constantly thinking about I have to write the review after this, I have to write a review after it. And now that I've stopped doing that, and now I'm picking and choosing which ones I want to like focus my effort into writing a review for, it's
Mm-hmm.
made it easier, and it's made it easier for me to get back to my writing, because I think that's where the writer's block started to come from, because I was putting too much pressure on myself,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So like I definitely feel like for like all the arcs that I get, those are ones that I do want to put like the attention to with like writing reviews, because those are early editions, and that's the
Mm-hmm.
whole point of getting them. But definitely when it comes to like my own personal collection of books,
Mm-hmm.
I would like to just be able to just like walk over to the shelf and pick one up and read it, and just be able to be like, it was great, and then
Mm-hmm.
go on with my day.
Right. I
Yeah.
totally understand that. Yeah. And I'm sure it can feel a little bit that way with BookTube as well.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people have said, I don't want it to get to where I don't enjoy reading anymore because I have to make a video or whatever. I get that too. So
Yeah.
a lot of people struggle that way too.
Yeah.
Have a good night, Chadia. Sleep well.
Night.
Take my book and go to bed. I like it. That's a good way to go to bed.
Yes.
Yeah, Kay was saying here, reviews are a lot of work. Can take me over an hour to write, and that doesn't include
Mhm.
recording time. Yeah, yeah, it can.
Yeah.
Reviews are a lot of work,
Yeah.
and it probably depends on the review too.
Yeah.
But I just finished editing a video on why you should read The Deathgate Cycle by Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman, and
Okay.
that's a lot of work. And
Yeah.
yeah, so some videos take a long time to edit and others don't. That Kindle bookshelf tour I did,
Mhm.
never again. That was an enormous amount of work for when it ended up. I think it ended
Yeah.
up being like 30 minutes or maybe less than that. I'm like, wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
because it was originally 49 minutes and I had to cut it down and like,
Yeah. I believe that, because
yeah.
that's one of my things is like I'm always trying to figure out how to cut the videos down, because like they
Mm-hmm.
always end up being just like, because I know that there's a sweet spot,
Yeah.
where it's like between like the 10 and like 20 minutes, like that's like a sweet spot. And if
Mm-hmm.
you go
Right.
over that, and if you go over that, if it's not for something that people are actually interested in, whereas like, because like I have seen people watch like hour-long book haul videos,
Oh, yeah.
but it's just because
Yeah.
like someone's sitting there being like, I got this and this and this and this and this. Like, but even still, like for me, I was like, because my channel is still so small, I'm like, no one is
Mm-hmm.
going to sit around for an hour watching me be like, I got this and this and this.
Right.
So that's why I split my book haul into two parts, because it would have been an hour, and I still haven't finished editing the second part, because putting in all of the ebooks, that's
Yes.
that's the part that takes the longest, is editing in the pictures for the ebooks. So
Mm-hmm.
I feel you on that, just how long it took.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah. Any pictures you have to add in just kind of doubles the work for it. I get it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And imagine I'm on my phone, like,
Right. Yeah. I know. I edit on my phone too. I
oh,
totally
okay.
feel you. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have an iPhone?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know what you use. I use LumaFusion
Oh, I use
for
Splice.
my edit. Splice. Okay, I've heard of that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I do all my editing on my phone too, and I I I,
Right.
I have the iPhone Pro, so I at least have a little bigger screen. I'm like,
Yeah.
but yeah, it can be a lot of work. That's what's nice about physical books. If you want to show the cover, you just grab it off the shelf and hold it up, and
Yes.
you don't have to worry about putting it up on the screen. But you know,
Yeah.
ebooks are easier for me to read in a lot of respects. So
Oh, okay.
that's why I do so much ebook reading. It's easier on my eyes. I can control the font, because I'm 3 more years more, a little more. I'll be 50 years old, so I'm
Oh,
getting
okay.
up there. And my eyes are, but yeah, that's why I wear glasses. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but I like reading ebooks. It's much easier on the eyes.
Yeah. Yeah. I only recently started with the ebooks. I think it was like maybe during the pandemic, because I got an e-reader during the pandemic,
Hmm.
and because when I started getting all the digital arcs, I was reading on my phone.
Yeah.
and I was like, this is too small. This is too small, you
Yeah.
know. So
Yeah,
I
it
ended up
definitely is.
getting the Kindle and everything. And like sometimes I feel like I fly through ebooks.
Hmm.
And I think part of it is the fact that like I cannot see like I can turn off how much progress I've read. Because like
Hmm.
you know how you have like the little counter at the bottom? You can
Hmm.
change it or you can just like completely like take it away.
Yeah, I
And
completely
a
delete
lot
it. Yep.
yeah, and like sometimes I will do that and I will just take it away and I don't realize like how much I'm reading. Whereas like when I'm reading my physical book, I'm like, oh, it's been an hour and I read 5 pages.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
that's what it feels like because like you still see this huge chunk of the book and like the ebook, you don't see that. So you're like,
Right.
I made progress.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I usually get rid of everything except the little percentage marker that shows how many percent I am through the book, and
Yeah.
I'm good with that. And yeah, I usually read those faster too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've noticed if it's a really big ebook, like because I did Hunger of the Gods on
Yeah.
there, I had to turn it all off because
Hmm.
I just felt like I kept flipping pages and it was like, you're still at 32%. And I'm like, how? How?
Right.
And it's just because it's so much. Whereas like there's other ones where like I'll read a novella on there and it's like you flip one page and they're like, you're at 10%. Now you're at 20. And I'm like, I flip one page,
Right.
you know? But I do also like having control over the font, how bright the
Hmm.
screen is, the spacing between the letters.
Hmm.
You can even on mine, I can change because I have the fire because I
Hmm.
wanted color.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
I can change the paper color, so like it can be white, tan, or green.
Yes.
It's like a pale green,
Hmm.
and that's the one that I use most.
Hmm.
So, but like some books, like when I get them and load them up, I'm like, oh, that font is a no. We gotta change that. Like,
Right.
but like, and you can't do that with a physical book. Like, you open it up and you're like, oh, this is the font I get. Okay.
Right. Exactly. I'm the same way. I love changing the fonts. I started out reading on a Fire, but the screen was just too much for my eyes, so I switched over
Mm,
to the regular Kindle. But yeah, Fires are great though. Yeah, if you don't
yeah,
mind having the device light on there. So um,
yeah,
yeah, it's yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Ebooks are great.
I've learned how to work with the fires because it's got the very reflective,
Hmm.
screen, and I've learned how to work with it. Like, it works great indoors,
Hmm.
not outdoors.
Not outdoor. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Not outdoors. Don't take it outside. You're not getting anything read. Um,
exactly.
it is though harder because like sometimes I do take pictures of the ebooks for like my Instagram or something,
Uh-huh.
and I'm starting to learn how to work with reflective surfaces.
Hmm.
It's a process.
It is a process. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah, but it's just because like the paper whites and everything, they don't have color on them.
Hmm.
And so it's
That's the
like,
one downside. Yeah, that you
yeah,
don't get those pretty and it's the book covers that I really care about in color.
yeah,
Everything else
yeah,
is I don't care, but yeah, you don't get the book covers in color. It's like, oh, okay.
yeah, exactly.
They need to take care of that. Baron,
They
hello,
do.
sir. Good to see you.
Hello. Yeah,
If you haven't watched Baron, by the way, Alyssa, you got to check him out. If you
okay.
haven't watched his channel, Your Brain on Books, good stuff.
Okay.
Yeah,
I will do that. I will go and check out
yeah.
their stuff.
He's really good. Because you like knowing details about what a story is about to see if it's for you. He's
Yeah.
really good at telling you what a story is about
Oh,
and
okay.
giving you a good idea of uh, whether or not you like the story or not. So yeah, he's
Okay.
really good at that.
Okay, I will
Yeah,
definitely check them out then cuz yeah, that's what I
yeah,
need.
yeah.
I need those little details.
Yeah, he's a great channel to watch for that. Yeah,
Okay. I
yeah,
will do that.
absolutely. Well, you're welcome, sir. Yeah, absolutely. Well deserved. Well, I know we're getting to the 2 hour mark, and so I figure it's probably a good time to start signing off.
Yeah.
If anybody has any other questions or comments you want to make to Alyssa, or Alyssa, if you have anything else you wanted to talk about too, let's have at it.
No, I don't think I have anything else. I feel like we covered lots of lots of interesting topics.
Yeah, yeah,
You
I think
know?
we did.
Yeah. So I had lots of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So did I. Yeah, this has
Yeah.
been great. I always love these chats, and you've been an amazing guest.
Thank you.
And eventually, I'm probably going to start doing Chaz and Friends remixes and have like have a couple people back at a time, like 2 or 3 people come on and join like a group
Oh,
thing.
that sounds fun.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to, one of your few days off, I'm sure, to come on the stream and just chat about whatever. So it's been
Yes.
a lot of fun. I appreciate you.
Well, I appreciate you for asking me to come on.
Oh, you're most welcome.
Yeah.
Well, we'll go ahead and call it good there, guys. Make sure to subscribe to Alyssa and to her blog as well, and check out her videos. She's got some really great content, um, and make sure you guys keep reading more books. We'll talk with you soon. Bye.
Bye.